Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty interesting show for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, one of the shows I follow periodically is the Paul George podcast. He has a podcast there, Ensemble Cast. Paul George himself is an interviewer. And as you guys know, Paul George obviously is an active NBA player, so this means that he's going to have a lot of relationships. And he's brought on some pretty big names in the past. Karl Anthony Towns was recently on there. He brought on DeMar DeRozan. I thought that was a very, very good interview. They had some great moments when they were talking about different things. I enjoyed that, different topics. I enjoyed that. And then recently he invited on Jaren Jackson Jr., who was the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, the young center for the Memphis Grizzlies, a rising star, very young guy with a lot of promise moving forward. Now, what we know is that Jaren Jackson Jr. plays also for the Memphis Grizzlies, which means that he is a teammate of Ja Morant. And as y'all know, at this point, Ja Morant seems to be mired in so much drama, right? And I think Ja in the past also admitted that, hey, listen, some of the distractions that took place here, I played a role. Some of the things that I did may have been a distraction. These are not my words. That's what Ja Morant himself said, which I thought was a good move to acknowledge the obvious, right? That was the obvious thing to say because it was obviously true. And I thought that was good for him to say that. So during this interview, they spoke about a bunch of different things. Who's the GOAT? What's this? What's that? Talking about the league. But it got to a particular point when Paul George basically asked him about his teammate, Ja Morant, right? And to just discuss his teammate and some of the things that have been happening around the team. And I thought Jaren Jackson Jr. gave the politically correct answer, but I also thought he injected some truth in what he had to say. So what we want to do is want to play a little bit of what he had to say here about Ja Morant and his team. Then we're going to come back and continue on with the show. Take a listen to that.
Talk me through like what's going on with y'all, like y'all brotherhood.
Yeah. No, he's good. I mean, he's I think just growing up with this much attention on you, like especially being this young, I mean, it's a lot to deal with. And I think you're always gonna make mistakes growing up. And people gotta understand, like, you're growing up and you're the most popular player at this age probably ever, theoretically. Like, I had to do an interview based on like just how he's whatever, like how popular he is just from an engagement perspective. We look at that all the time. Like, I mean, dude, it's insane. And a lot of things back then that you could get away with, you can't do. You got to be, a certain way. But I mean, dude's great. Like, that's, you can people always got to understand that everybody human. Like, right. Everybody's human. So, right. I mean, that's my brother though. Like, no matter what, like I stand by my brother. And I think that's like the lesson everybody should take away from this. It's like, bro, no matter what anybody says about your homies, no matter what anybody says about whatever, like, you ride for your people. If you know your people better than everybody, obviously you're going to know your people better than everybody else. Everybody's going to say whatever, but they're everybody. It never matters at the end of the day. It's your family. It's your brother. I don't know. That's just how I am. It's not like a code thing. It's just kind of like, that's my dog. So
ride with him.
He gonna get right back to running the league like he does. He gonna get right back to jumping on everybody.
I do agree.
That's like if they move the charge circle
a little further out.
All that stuff. He gonna get back to running it just like he does. He already knows that. He works hard. He's smart as hell. He should have been MVP the other year.
So you heard what he had to say. He said that, Ja's a great player. He's his brother. But, there have been some mistakes in the past, right? And I think that's the honest thing to say. Now, here's what I like about what Jaren Jackson Jr. said. I like his disposition. He didn't come in there from a judgmental standpoint. He wasn't coming there to throw rocks, to act holier than thou. He was coming in there as a teammate. And I think in a healthy locker room, that's how teammates usually perform. As Paul George said, he used the word brotherhood. And I think that's exactly how it is, within NBA circles. It's really a brotherhood. These guys view each other as brothers. And I think, really successful teams need to be a tight-knit group. I remember when Kobe said, whenever you win a championship with a group, you create a bond for life with that group because of all the ups and downs that you go through. So you have an eternal bond with that particular group. So I like the fact that he kind of had his teammates back. That was his disposition. But he seemed to be honest. He seemed to also take an honest approach to it, which is, yeah, he made some mistakes, but we all have, right? I think that if he came up there and said, no, I don't see anything wrong with what Ja is doing, that would have been a little bit hypocritical. And I think a lot of people will say that these guys must be tone deaf, right? The Memphis Grizzlies organization and some of their players, because they all obviously have ears. But I do like what he had to say in terms of a distraction. Listen, I think Ja Morant admitted as much that, listen, some of his, the things that happened around him didn't work well for the team. I think a lot of us would agree with that. If you look at the Memphis Grizzlies and their season, the Memphis Grizzlies, pretty much from the beginning to the end of the season were the number 2 seed in the Western Conference, right? So they were a very good team with and without Ja, but they were a very good team. They had a very good nucleus, although they were extremely immature, especially when you had some of the things that these guys were saying and some of the antics with some of these guys on the court. Like there was a part where they say, is LeBron old? He was like, yeah, he is old. Now, some people will say, hey, that's disrespectful. But then again, that's a young guy, right? That's a young guy. They're going to say he's old, whatever. I have no issue with that, whatever. To me, I think that the Memphis Grizzlies last season, had there not been all of those distractions, I think they could have had a good run. And as a matter of fact, going into the NBA playoffs, if you guys remember, the Memphis Grizzlies were matched up against the Lakers in round 1. And although they were the number 2 seed, although they had a lot of talent, although they won a lot of games, even when Ja Morant didn't play, I felt, and I said it, that I felt like their lack of maturity would hold them back. I felt like the Memphis Grizzlies would try to get into this tit for tat, and I thought that the Lakers, LeBron, and these guys would pretty much bait them and then switch. Get them feeling like, oh, we're going to do the one-on-one thing and then just move on, right? Dylan Brooks wanted LeBron to go at him and give him 40, and LeBron is like, okay, I'll do that, and then instead the whole team is going to give you 40. So I think the Lakers outsmarted them. I think they were just a more mature team, and I think if this team had more maturity, they would definitely be more successful. Right, I definitely believe so, because they would be focused on the right things. They wouldn't be spending time engaged in activities that would basically lead them nowhere, right? Because they have the talent to do it. They have a very young core. They have a guy in Ja Morant that could potentially end up being the face or one of the faces of the NBA, and I still think he has a chance to pull that off. So, to me, listen, I think it's a wait-and-see approach. I think people at this point with the Memphis Grizzlies want to see more and hear less. They're not really interested in these guys saying they're doing the right thing or we're going to show you. No, they want to see it. And it was one of the phrases, that Shannon Sharp used, where he was like, "I see better than I can hear." Right? I see better than I can hear. So don't tell me what you're going to do. Just go out there and actually do it. So I think it was a good interview. I think he was honest. I don't think he lied. And I pretty much agreed with a lot of what he had to say. So the question is simply this to the audience. Do you think that the Memphis Grizzlies as a team are gonna take a step forward in terms of their maturity going into next season in order to kind of turn around their narrative as a group and actually make a successful run in the NBA playoffs next year? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We'll catch you on the next show. Peace.